Good morning. Waking up on Monday morning. The roads are still quiet. It's about 10 to 6 in the morning here in Jerusalem. The sun is lighting up the Augusta Victoria Tower on the Mount of Olives. Here comes the train. Somebody's driving. Some people are going to work. Some people are going home after a night shift. Maybe somebody isn't visiting the hospital. Some friends in hospital. Life is cranking up in Jerusalem this morning. Yesterday I came here because of special encounters that had to be, that were very blessed, amazing. I did so many explanations of Jerusalem yesterday from the rooftop here, of the Shroud of Turin exhibit, of the New Pentecost presentation. It's marvelous. These two domes here are over the Holy Sepulchre Church, the big dome over the empty tomb of Jesus. Huge revolution for the world. People are talking, about major events that changed the world in a short time, like COVID, this whole phenomenon of lockdowns and the whole world involved and all the communication and all the issues. Other people talk about a new war, changing a lot of stuff. But that moment of the resurrection changed history forever. Forever. And today we see in the readings, just amazing readings, pivotal moment in the development of Christianity. One of the big questions that always has astonished me a little bit here in Jerusalem, especially from Jewish people, is how come the disproportion? How many Jewish people are in the world? About 15 million. And how many Christians in the world? So I'd ask them, well, guess how many Christians in the world? Sometimes I say 10, 20, 30 million. I say, come on, think a little bit. Just Catholics are over 1.25 billion. Then you have a good billion of other Christians, so well over 2 billion people. And that all happened here at the resurrection, that moment, that spark. And the readings today touch another nerve. So how come what started here among this handful of Jewish disciples of Jesus became this worldwide phenomenon? And a number of adjustments were made, and we see them happening today. And they're really not man-made, because there was great resistance from the human side. And there's actually resistance within the community of the first believers. Peter, you cannot go and spend time with these Gentiles. They're out of it. They're not involved. It's not about them. It's about us. And Peter has another story for them. Well, it's not my doing. I want you to read the readings. They're just amazing. It's dramatic, And Peter is there. He has the story of the raising of the old widow who had died, was a very good lady, and through the prayer of Peter, she was raised back to life. God gave her life again. And then he's up having a little siesta in the roof, and he has this crazy dream. And that's the reading today. Get up, Peter, slaughter and eat. You're hungry. Look at all this stuff. And Peter said, I've never eaten anything profane or unclean, never in my mouth. And he had forgotten what Jesus said, It's not what from outside makes you unclean, it's what's coming out of your heart makes you unclean. I said, certainly not, sir, because nothing profane or unclean has ever entered my mouth. So there was a big adjustment coming. In God's great pedagogy, there was a chosen people, and lived in a very special way to be a nucleus in our world again of knowing and loving the one true God who created the world. But now's the time has come after the resurrection that everybody must know about this one true God. And how this salvation came through suffering. So this is the pivotal moment we're at today in the first reading. Absolutely amazing. And this changed history. You know, people talk about events changing history. How this particular war is, for example, accelerating the process of scarcity in the world. Accelerating processes in social life. Or the whole COVID phenomenon. And actually I had a number of conversations about this. Yesterday I was party to the conversations. I wasn't the driving force of the conversations. And people with great insights, you know. And one parent was speaking about their children, you know. There's a son and 15 years old when COVID starts, and then all the lockdowns had a big impact for the next 2 years, you know. He's 17 now. And basically the whole 2 years were spent with his parents and with a friend. And that's a very different setup than when in school and in social life and in sports programs there would be contact with a lot more people. So events make their mark in history, major events, and we become sensitive to that. But what has happened now with this amazing event of the resurrection, this amazing event of Peter in Jaffa over near present-day Tel Aviv, and there in south of Tel Aviv today, and there this amazing event happened. And then Peter goes up to Caesarea, and he has this encounter with the Roman centurion, and the Holy Spirit pours out his gifts, because that's another huge event, Pentecost, and it didn't take too long to happen. And we're looking at the place over here. I love those bells. Can you hear the bells? It's ringing for 6 o'clock, you know. Six peals of the bells for 6 o'clock in the morning. And then we move on to the Psalm, beautiful Psalm 42. Athirst is my soul for the living God. Athirst is my soul for the living God. As the hind longs for the running water, so my soul longs for you, O God. We run to places, we hurry to places, we're thirsting for something. We have a desire and ambition, the driving ambition of our lives. Athirst is my soul for the living God. Thirst is my soul for the living God. Every human being will need this, no matter where technology goes. No matter how small the world becomes, no matter how fast transport becomes, no matter how we resolve the problems we have technologically in our world, politically, socially. A thirst is my soul for the living God. That's where I'm racing to. I'm longing for that. I can't wait for that. I gotta see God's face. Send forth your light and your fidelity. They shall lead me on and bring me to your holy mountain. Then I will go to the altar of God, the God of my gladness and joy. Then I give you thanks upon the harp, O God, my God. Athirst is my soul for the living God. And then we have another very beautiful theme, and that ties in actually with a couple of news items that I'd love to share with you. And the theme of the Good Shepherd. On the fourth Sunday of Easter, there's always the Good Shepherd. And there was great joy here in the last couple of weeks. And obviously I was away and not doing my sunrise stroll and chat. So I didn't report that to you, maybe a little bit in some of the other little varied chats we had in the meantime. But some amazing gifts we had. On Friday, I think it was, a new bishop was ordained for Jordan. And we're looking at Jordan right across there, the mountains of Moab in Jordan. Mount Nebo will be at the north up there, not too far in the direction of the Ascension Tower, which we see there, that big tower in the center of the Mount of Olives now, up there. And you can see that plateau of mountains there in the distance, Moab Mountains. And then if we go up to almost the Ascension Tower, there's where you have Mount Nebo, where Moses looked in 3,200 and something years ago. And there he died, you know. And I'm trying to say, I just lost my thought, people. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Be kind to me. Help me out. What was I saying there? Jordan. So this bishop was ordained for Jordan, for the vicariate of the Latin Patriarchate. So the Latin Patriarchate is like the diocese, the Catholic diocese for all the Holy Land. And you can see exactly where the headquarters are. This is the school here is of the De La Salle brothers, who do extraordinary work in education. And they have the only Christian university in the West Bank and in the Palestinian territories, Bethlehem University, amazing university. And then you have this tower here. You have the big tower over there in the Dormition, Mount Zion, but in between, you see where that Vatican flag is flying? That tower and this red roof close to it, that's the cathedral there of the Latin Patriarchate, the co-cathedral. So there we have the headquarters, and they needed 2 new bishops, one for the Vicariate of Jordan, and he was ordained last Friday, and one for the Vicariate of Israel. Father Rafik is now Bishop Rafik, and he was ordained in Nazareth last Saturday week, and it was a pleasure to be there, a great joy to be at that ordination. And then we had other great joy on Saturday, the day before yesterday, in our community, because in Rome we had 28 new priests ordained. I think there are others being ordained in different places around the world in different moments this year also, so I think it's a total of about 37 being ordained. So these are confreres of mine who are just ordained new priests. Imagine 28 new priests from so many different countries. What a joy, what a grace, what a gift. The shepherd, to be a shepherd. And look at those mountains of Moab again. Or let's look down towards Bethlehem. If I go down a bit here, I can point out Bethlehem direction to you. And there was a shepherd boy called David. And over there in the mountains of Moab, how many shepherds boy? Abraham, you know, Isaac, Jacob, traveling through these lands, shepherds. And the shepherds was used as language even long before the history of Revelation started. In ancient Middle Eastern cultures, a shepherd was the way of life, and the shepherd had the flocks. He was the owner of the flocks. He was the rich guy. He wasn't like today, the shepherds are kind of outsiders. And this shepherd had great power and authority. He had many wives, probably. He had all the children were there, you know, and uncles and cousins, and big set up. And he defended his flocks and his people. And everybody looked to the shepherd. And that became the image for the kings. The kings shepherded their people. But when the chosen people wanted a shepherd, Samuel the prophet said, watch out, they're going to take your children to be in their armies. They're going to have wars. They're going to take half your crops and taxes. Do you really want to have a king? And but they were supposed to be shepherds, because shepherds look after their flock and their people. And that's also the leadership of the church, of the chosen people, was expressed in shepherds. And God said, I'm going to shepherd my people. If my other shepherds are failing, I'm going to shepherd them. And this is the language we have today in the gospel passage we have today. Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever does not enter the sheepfold through the gate, but climbs over elsewhere, is a thief and a robber. But whoever enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. I know my sheep. They will not follow a stranger. They do not recognize the voice of strangers. And Jesus said, I am the gate for the sheep. I come so that they have life and have it more abundantly. Very, very beautiful, poetic, strong language about shepherds. Let us pray for our shepherds, for our political shepherds, who have great responsibility to reconcile peoples, to bring understanding among all the different peoples. We have shepherds in culture, like teachers leading the children in education. Parents with their children are really shepherding their children. That image is very powerful for parents, and also all of our church leaders. And shepherds, we need a lot of prayer, a lot of guidance, prudence, goodness. And the shepherd needs to be a thirst for God. A thirst is my soul for the living God. So it all ties together there. People, I think we'll leave it like that for today. Short and sweet. I'm heading back to Galilee early this morning. And so grateful that you joined in. And we're back on the road again. We're back in business again with our sunrise stroll and chat after this break. So see you later, Alligator. Thank you all for joining in today, for your comments and for your encouragement. God bless you here from Notre Dame in Jerusalem. I should show you one little image of Notre Dame. Let me do that, just so you see that nice. The sun is hitting the building now. The colors are very nice on it. Pilgrims are coming back. So people, God bless you. See you later. Heading over to Instagram right now.